How's it going, everyone? My name is Michael SK, and welcome back to Higurashi When They Cry Chapter 5. I think we have experienced a bit of a time skip. Nothing has really happened after the Watanagashi Satoshi's disappearance, along with the death of his aunt, with a lot of people thinking, maybe he killed her, maybe he was demoned away, so it's kind of just lining up with a lot of the things that we kind of learned about from Keiichi's perspective over chapters 1 through 3, but now we're approaching present time, I'm pretty sure. And, well, hopefully we see some new things, now that we have this different perspective on the present day. I don't think that I need to read this. I think it's being read aloud to us. I'll read this line, if anything. I hadn't been able to get used to my new school in Okinomiya, but I had some friends there now. Oh, nope, I am speaking for this. I heard a voice when I reloaded here, so I had no idea what that was about. Since I got a part-time job at my relative's store, I had some extra pocket money too. I ended up living with my parents after all, so I didn't have to pay for living expenses. It felt great to get to freely spend the money I earned from working. I still used the room Kasai set up for me from time to time. It was a convenient hideout for when I didn't want to see my parents. In fact, I was planning to spend a day there today. My dad got upset, and that was why I didn't want to stay at home. I had been asking for it though. My teacher should have known, or should know, that my dad is a Yakuza, and that he gets really scary when he's mad. On the whole, my life had been going well so far, except for it was boring. The reason I could enjoy this lifestyle is probably because I had to live in secret before. It was a great relief to be able to live without having to fake my identity. Well, that might have been a valuable experience. I think I learned from it. I was going grocery shopping and thought I'd get enough food for a week or so. My parents would appreciate my presence more after missing me for a week. I was doing this for their sakes. I knew how to save my pocket money. I was in a good mood. I spun around with my arms spread out. I felt like I was inside a little whirlwind. My arm hit a motorcycle parked on the sidewalk. It obviously wasn't where it was supposed to be. Haven't we been here before? This has happened before. I gave the motorcycle a kick with no hesitation. This is the same shit. This is the same shit we've gone through. There were 3 motorcycles lined up in a row. They all felt like dominoes, excuse me. It was beautiful and so much fun. Oh, this was odd. I felt like I'd gone through the exact same experience before. While blinking my eyes in an effort to recall when that was, some people grabbed me by the neck and dragged me into a dark alley. It looked like these punks were the owners of those motorcycles, and they started shouting at me. This was really strange. I was having deja vu. I'm pretty sure they're saying the exact same shit too. Yeah, it's the same broken English/Japanese and screaming and yelling. That's right. It was when I met Satoshi-kun for the first time. He came to save me. If I pretended to cry again now, would he come to save me again? I made a wish, and I started pretending to cry and beg for mercy. At that time, I doubted my ears. Oh. It's the other boy. It was a boy about my age. I couldn't quite see his face because of the light illuminating him from behind. Satoshi-kun? Of course, it couldn't be him. It couldn't be. Did she not read the text? It clearly said Keiichi. When I snapped out of my daydream, I realized that it wasn't Satoshi-kun after all. He looked less gracious than Satoshi-kun, so to speak. If Satoshi-kun was pristine and untouched, then this guy would have scratches all over him. But although they were completely different, I got a similar impression from him somehow. The boy looked a bit taken aback.
いや、もう泣いてるんだから、それくらいで勘弁してあげてもいいんじゃないかな、なんて。
あんなことを命じされとんじゃおらか。
うわー、たま、暴力は良くないぜ。
What was up with this guy? I felt ashamed that I mistook him for Satoshi-kun even for a second. He seemed cool at first, but he wasn't as cool as Satoshi-kun after all.
いや、だからバイクが倒れたのはお気の毒と思いますよ。でもですね、どうか機嫌を直されてですね、どうしたら機嫌を直してくださるんですかね。いや、もちろん私たちはお金なんか持ってないんですがね。
おお、そうじゃのう。金がのうならっしゃー、体で払ってもおっかないっしゃな。こんなよう見ると結構イケてるもんな。
Well, yeah.
どうじゃこの後。
Hey, are you kidding me? I tightened my grip on the stun gun in my pocket. Then I turned it up to maximum intensity. Don't hold a grudge against me if you die, pervs.
おお、俺んさ、一度カイコちゃんはべらせて街のべりたくてさ。おるじゃ。もっと着飾ってスカートもミニで。興奮さ。
Is it though? They indulge in their imaginations, which arouse their spirits. Hey now, why are you perverts closing in on me? Your gross hands are groping the air. Are you gonna try and violate me?
タイトミニもええの。ミニ。はっしゃ。上から下まで全部色っぽくしちゃえよ。肌色の面積を限りなく広げて。
あんたら冗談でしょ。その汚い手で私に触れるな。
Then a flash of light cut through the air. Was that the boy?
このボケナスどもが。
Wow. Blows like thunderbolts knocked the punks down. Wow. So he was actually strong after all.
なあ、何しさらすんじゃ。手こまされたいんか。
お前らは分かっていない。何がじゃ。タイトミニには萌えがない。そして肌色面積は控えめに。
What?
たとえお天道様が西から登ることがあろうとも、絶対これは萌え業界の鉄則だ。いいかよく聞け、ど素人ども。ホモ・サピエンスと動物の違いは何か。そう、衣服の着用だ。つまり人は肌以外の衣服の彩りがあって初めて人なのだ。
Oh, how I've missed Keiichi. That's been a while.
つまり肌色を求めすぎる貴様らは人以下、動物と同じだ。貴様ら全員を強制する。歯を食いしばれ。先ほどタイトミニを引き合いに出したな。例えばここに美少女と呼ぶにふさわしい女の子がいたとする。美少女と一言に言ってもその裾野は広すぎる。それについて貴様らに抗議することは、寿司山芸者から入った外国人に侍の美学を一から説明するより困難この上極まりない。だからここでは最も普及していると思われる制服系で説明することとする。制服系の御三家といえば何か答えてみろ。そうだな、制服、体操服、スクール水着だろう。なおセーラーかブレザーかの好みの違いは制服にカテゴライズするものとする。もちろんブルマかスパツかの違いも同様。すく水も紺か白かの違いはあるぞ。カテゴリーは同じ扱いだ。どうだ、これだけでも甘美な響きがするであろう。ではお前ら3人が これらのうちの一つずつが好みであったと仮定しよう。おい不良 A、 お前は制服だ。不良 B、 お前は体操服。そして不良 C はスクビズだ。
There's no way that they're just gonna play along with this.
頭に思い描け。時間は3秒。描けたか。妄想くらい自在にできろ。気合が足りん、やり直せ。ではお前らの望む美少女がここにいて、その衣装を着ているぞ。あると思え、あると信じろ。気合。返事はオスか。さあイエスサーだ。バカ者、それでも軍人か。よーし、描けたようだな。次に進むぞ。
Are they really playing along with it, or is Keiichi just kind of rambling?
それらの萌え衣装と貴様らの馬鹿げた欲情に従いお色気ムンムンなタイトミニスカート姿を見比べてみろ。
Oh, I guess he's not saying this part. Now think, if you take all of their clothes off, that's not cosplay anymore, is it?
最近まだ萌えと色気の違いのわからん未熟者が増えているが、実に嘆かわしい。
Humans without clothes aren't civilized, they're animals.
本能でしか女性の魅力を語れない貴様らは犬、猿、キジだ。君団子でももらって鬼ヶ島へでも失せろ。 Get back here! ちなみに最近の東西雪解けに従い、萌えもいろいろな類が大量に上陸しているな。そんなことも知らんのか愚か者は。制服系と金髪を掛け合わせてアニメ系などという酸素と水素が掛け合わされて能登半島かわいいよ大爆発なんて組み合わせが出ているようだが、本館は断じて認めたりはしないぞ。制服は日本の文化だ、芸術だ。
I'm so lost.
和洋折衷は
I have no
この世界に
idea
は
what to
存
even
在し
say
ない。
here. I'm just fucking lost.
貴様ら聞いているのか、軟弱スルメどもが。歯を食いしばれ、今日は徹底的にしごく。貴様らが真の萌え文化を理解できるまで今日は寝られないと思え。はい、指導指導指導。
At that point, I heard a bustle of people running this way.
前原さん、みんな呼んできました。
I saw several kids running toward us. Seemed like our backup had arrived.
やばいぞ、繋がれ。
The three punks that had just been standing there agape, but they started running away when they saw that many people.
さすが前原さんですね。たった一人であんな怖そうな3人組を釘付けにしちゃうなんて。
Oh, so we weren't actually beating them up there.
3人の1人鼻血出してましたね。前原さん、喧嘩も強いなんてすごいです。
We were beating them up mentally, I guess. Wow.
俺の固有結界もますます磨きがかかったようだな。今に監督の固有結界メイドインヘブンに太刀打ちできるくらいに磨きをかけてやるぜ。そんなことはいいや。大丈夫かよ、ミオン。
The boy was apparently called Maibara. He turned around to face me. Even the way he mistook me for Mion sounded like Satoshi-kun. But Satoshi-kun isn't a pervert like him.
天下ごめんのミオンがどんな情け容赦のない必殺技で撃退してみせるか。まあさすがに男が3人がかりじゃきつかったってことか。そんなわけないよな。
I was still confused. I couldn't yet grasp the situation. Who was this guy? Mion had friends like him? I was still spacing out in shock. So I forgot to move until his hand touched my head.
まあなんだ、半べそ書いてたのは見なかったことにするからさ。まあ元気出せよな。
Rub, rub. The boy called Maibara stroked my head roughly. It didn't feel good. It hurt actually. But still his hand had the same warmth. Later on, Mion told me about him. He was called Keiichi Maibara. Kei-chan for short. He's one grade below us. Not only that, but he just moved to Hinamizawa. Excuse me. Fuck. Thanks to his attitude and lack of manners, he'd already become an idol in their class. Mion joyously explained all of this. Sure, he sounded like a fun kid. I knew why Mion was into him. But Satoshi-kun was way cooler. He wasn't worth stealing from sis. Or was he? My heart throbbed. I was excited. It felt like I'd gotten a new toy. I was curious as to what kind of relationship Mion intended to build with him. Excuse me. I'd love to tease her about it.
ありがとうケイちゃん。よかったらお礼にお茶でもおごるよ。すぐ近くにおじさんの店があるし、どう？
Satoshi-kun would refuse out of modesty. But Keiichi Maibara said okay within 2 seconds. Well then, I couldn't wait to tease the two of them. My boring life suddenly became bright again.
おい、腕なんかにしがみつくなよ。
あれ？こういうの嫌いですか？
いや、嫌いじゃないけど、胸が当たって、
胸が当たって何ですって？
Oh, young love, or whatever the fuck you want to call this. Keiichi Maibara was fun. Mion thought the same way I did. She would always talk about him. I was happy for her, and it made me smile.
お姉はケイちゃんのこと本当に気に入ってますね。ズバリ。ケイちゃんの魅力を一言で示すと何です？そうだね。もしも一言でしか言っちゃいけないなら、やっぱり面白いとこかな。そうそう、この間の部活の時にさ。
Mion really liked him, but he didn't seem to think it was love yet. Or but didn't seem to think it was love yet, sorry. She's reserved in that area, so that was really like her. As for me, well, I didn't hate him, but my feelings weren't the same as Mion's. Kei-chan was just too childish compared to Satoshi-kun. I wondered how Satoshi-kun was doing. Was he waiting for things to cool down somewhere far away? The case had already been solved, though. The dopehead was the murderer. And there was no reason for him to wait anymore. I shook my head. I shouldn't think about it too much. Oh wait, I know. The case was confidential, so the arrest of the culprit hadn't been made public. So Satoshi-kun hadn't realized that he can come back. I know he's a little thick-headed. Maybe he'd be waiting for things to calm down until the end of time. But if so, couldn't he give a call to Sotoko at least? He should tell her he's living in a faraway place. But that he'd be coming home soon. Ah, that stupid Sotoko. She'd been living with Rika Furude since Satoshi-kun went away, so nobody would pick up the phone even if he called. Stupid girl. Don't you want your big brother to come home? Give Satoshi-kun personality, or given his personality. He wouldn't remember any phone numbers other than his home number. So he wouldn't be able to contact anybody in Hinamizawa. Maybe he's been calling Sotoko every night. He keeps ringing, but nobody picks up. Then he'd assume Sotoko might be taking a bath, or be in the restroom. He'd put on a puzzled smile while mumbling, like always. I imitated his voice without realizing it.
それで何？どうし今シオン何か言わなかった？
I laughed it off and urged Mion to continue. I realized that her tone had changed. I hadn't been listening to her because I was thinking about Satoshi-kun. I thought that she was still happily talking about Kei-chan. But Mion sounded grim now. Her faint smile looked pitiful. It was too late to ask what was going on. So instead I concentrated on her story instead.
でね、おじさんが今日は盛り上げてくれてありがとうって言って、私以外の全員に。
Oh, okay. I know where we're at now.
お姉以外の全員にね。そりゃあ私も欲しかったけどさ、みんなの手前、私にもちょうだいとは言い出せなかったし。相変わらずお姉は自分の欲しいものを欲しいと言えない人ですね。それで？
Mion sniffled. I realized that she was on the verge of tears.
ケイちゃんの袋にはね、一番可愛いお人形が入ってて、そのお人形が一番欲しかったってわけ？別に何のお人形だってよかったんだよ。ケイちゃんは私だけもらってないって知ってたのに私にくれなかった。
Damn, it really fucked with her.
ミオンには似合わないよなって言って、次に生まれてくるときは言われたんだよ。
That was Keiichi's weak point. He might be fun and popular, but he wasn't mature. Not like Satoshi-kun.
やり直したい。ケイちゃんに出会った最初の頃からやり直して、今度はちゃんと女の子だと思ってもらえるように。おねえ、深刻すぎですって。おねえがやり直したいと思って、しかも向こうが何もトラブってない状態なら全然セーフじゃないですか。互いに傷つき合ってただれちゃうと、まあやり直しも面倒でしょうが。やり直せるかな。ケイちゃんの前で涙を流してないなら、そもそも何も手遅れじゃないんです。お姉がこの場で適当に涙して、明日から心を入れ替えていけば修正可能ですって。そりゃケイちゃんのデリカシーのなさには呆れますけど、その結果は結局今日までのお姉の積み重ねてきた結果なわけですから、今日からの生活を少しずつ改めてポイントを稼ぎ直せばいいだけのことです。生活を改めるってどうやって？お姉に可愛らしくしろって言うと、明日からフリフリの格好で登校しかねませんからね。変に構えないで普段通りに行きましょう。
Hell yeah,
で
that
も
always works.
細かい部分でこれまでの違いを見せていく。そこがさりげないポイント。あと人形をもらったレナという子には釘を刺しておくこと。現在のケイちゃんの中ではお姉よりもレナの方が高ポイントの可能性が高いです。確かにレナは女の子っぽいしな。可愛いし海外しいし、ライバルがいるならうかうかできませんよお姉。涙は男を引き寄せる力がありますけど、つなぎ止めておく力はありません。普段は笑っててポイントで泣く。萌えの典型パターンの一つかもです。私もケイちゃんに実践してみるかな。ダメだよ。お姉が気に入る男の子ですからね。私が気に入らない道理はありませんから。さーて、ケイちゃんをどう引き込んでみせようかな。なんならお姉、どっちがケイちゃんの気を引けるか競争しましょうか。やだもう絶対やだ。シオン、ひなみざわに来たら追い返す。
Damn. I'm happy for you, sis. It's not too late after all, or at all. It's important to know the distance between the boy you love and yourself, and shift the way you appeal to him to compensate. The boy I love is missing, you know? I don't even know where he is, or when he's coming back. Compared to that, you're very lucky. Mion was saying that she'd do her best from tomorrow on, with red tearful eyes, but I sensed a deeply negative feeling emerging inside me. Nobody was blaming Mion for being happy with Keiichi. I wasn't envious. I wasn't jealous. I didn't want her to be blamed the same way I was blamed. It was just that there was no space for Satoshi-kun in Mion's mind anymore. It was filled as it was with Kei-chan and her other friends now. It didn't matter to her if Satoshi-kun came back or not. Just like how she didn't care if it was sunny or rainy tomorrow. What about me then? Had I been thinking about Satoshi-kun all the time for the past year? I wasn't proud of my own answer. I'd become used to life without Satoshi-kun. His absence didn't hurt me anymore. I was getting used to life with Keiichi Maibara, and if I let my guard down, he might just fill up the space I'd been saving for Satoshi-kun. If Shion Sonozaki had prayed harder for Satoshi-kun to return, he might have come home already. Where did Satoshi-kun go? Last year, right after his disappearance, I'd paid close attention to the information circulating in the Sonozaki family and its underground connections, and I frequently went to the police station to check with Oshi for new information. Even with all that, I couldn't get any new leads on his whereabouts. I eventually became interested in Oyashiro-sama's curse, which surrounded Satoshi-kun's disappearance. I researched the dark history of the village. The more I looked into it, the less likely his survival seemed. I'd returned Mio-san's scrapbooks to her, and then I hadn't gone to the library since. I started a new life in a new school. I'd made new friends, and in the same way as falling leaves cover the ground, I felt like I was losing sight of what was really important to me. It was already almost the end of spring, and they said that summer was coming early and it'd be very hot this year. Normally it'd be the rainy season now, but we'd had no rain at all. The Watanagashi Festival, fuck. The Watanagashi Festival was right around the corner. Definitely was not dying there. It'd been almost a year since Satoshi-kun went missing. In Hinamizawa, they don't allow you to talk openly about Yashiro-sama's curse, or the series of mysterious deaths, so everybody acts like the murder of Satoshi-kun's aunt never happened. That's because Satoshi Hojo-kun was a member of the family of traders. He fell victim to Yashiro-sama's curse on the 4th year running. He was demoned away. Everybody was trying to forget about his existence and erase their memories of him. Don't make him disappear because of the curse. Don't erase his existence. Satoshi-kun was living in Hinamizawa just a year ago. He went to school. He was an A student. He was a member of the Hinamizawa Fighters. He could never hit the ball when it really mattered. He was unreliable but pure. He was warm. Because of the curse, people made him disappear. They stopped mentioning his name and acted like he never existed. A new resident like Keiichi Maibara wouldn't even know him. He seriously believed that Satoshi-kun had transferred out. I miss you, Satoshi-kun. I want to go shopping with you again. I want to be in a baseball game with you again, and get a cold drink afterwards. I want to tease you, and I want you to stroke my head again. Your hand was so warm. I felt as if my whole body was being caressed. Satoshi-kun. Damn, she's struggling. And you can't really blame her either. I haven't opened this notebook in a while. My feelings have been written down for over 150 pages. This notebook is the key to my heart. The other me who's been sleeping since last year is slowly waking up. Oh boy. I like split personalities. I like drama. And weird shit. And this really just has a little bit of all that.
まったく、ケイイチさんのドスケベぶりには呆れましたよ。
What's going on here?
男の子なら仕方がないのですよ。みーちゃんもしーちゃんも、ケイチくん困ってるよ。ですってよ、お姉。大岡越前じゃあるまいし、このままケイちゃんが引きちぎれるまで引っ張りっこします。引っ張りっこなんかしてないよ。シオンが引っ張らなければ済むことでしょ。シオンは沖宮に帰れ。はい、了解。そうしますね。パッと。
I let go of Keiichi suddenly, so he and Sis flew off like a rubber band. Keiichi rolled on the ground while Sis was stuck in a bush head first. What lively people.
じゃあケイちゃん、これ以上からかうとお姉に噛みつかれかねないので、今日はこれで帰りますね。
あ、シオン、そのさ、今日はありがとな。
Wait, what happened today?
ああ、あんなのお安いご用です。あの程度で恩が着せられるならいくらでもってくらいに。
じゃあまたな、シオン。
His hand landed on my head. Rub, rub, rub. He stroked my head pretty roughly, but the warmth reminded me.
じゃあすみませんね。今日は失礼します。またね、お姉。二度と来るなー。
God damn.
レナは紹介。サトコはトラ。リカちゃんは塩巻いて。
The warmth remained on the top of my head. It felt ticklish and sore. I had to stop. I got off my moped and pushed that aching spot against the telephone pole. I'm sorry, Satoshi-kun, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I never forgot about you, I still remember you. I'm worthless without you. I can't stand life without you because it's gray and cold and boring. It's true. I can never smile because you aren't here, I can't.
じゃあまたな、シオン。
Keiichi's face appeared in my mind. I recalled the touch of his hand stroking my head. It wasn't warm. I wasn't happy. It was rough and painful. I hate that insensitive guy. He's too childish, rude, and cold. He's like a stray dog. I wasn't happy. It wasn't warm. It wasn't happy or overjoyed at all. Or I wasn't, sorry. Damn.
Satoshi.
Methinks Shion's not doing too well. Satoshi-kun mumbled. He didn't know what to say in a situation like this, but he knew that he had better say something. He wanted to say something, but he didn't know what to say. So he just mumbled. I'm sorry, Shion. Why are you apologizing, Satoshi-kun? I'm the one who should apologize. Even though I said I'd wait for you, even though I believed my heart wouldn't change, my heart is full of holes. You're leaking out from the small cracks in my heart little by little. You're leaking out from me. Are you suffering because I'm here? Why? You're so precious to me. So don't say that. I've been here with you all this time. But I think I'm hurting you by continuing to exist. I don't want that. That's not true. No, no, no. Where have you been, Satoshi-kun? You weren't with me. Tell me where you are. What's the address? What's the postal code? What's the name of the city? What's the street number? Tell me. There isn't an address. I knew it. Telling me you've always been with me, always by my side. That's such a cliche. Which do you prefer, Shion? If I can give you strength, I'll stay by your side forever. But if you're suffering because of me, I'll disappear right away.
そんなこと言わないでよ。一緒がいい。一緒がいいよ。サトシ君と。いつまでも一緒がいい。
Okay. I'll stay with you then. A car passed by. The noise snapped me out of my reverie. The sky was turning orange. I should get home before it gets cold. I should go home to Okinomiya. You're with me, right? Are you with me right now, Satoshi-kun? I walked back to my moped. My feet sank into the grass. Crunch, crunch, crunch. I stopped when I reached my bike. But then I heard an extra footstep. I gasped. I could feel somebody else's presence. I'm not stupid. Nobody else was around here. Nobody had suddenly appeared behind me. So I wasn't surprised to find nobody when I turned around. But he was definitely still there. It's the ghost of Satoshi. I couldn't see him, but he was there. He was there for me. Satoshi-kun never lies. He said he'd be with me all the time. I'd just been too insensitive to feel his existence until now.
Satoshi-kun. Satoshi-kun.
A breeze tickled my hair. It felt cold, but to me it was nothing but the warmth of his hand. It took me a while to notice that my cheeks were wet with tears. I have no idea what's happening anymore. Like, is Shion just kind of losing her mind slightly? Or is there just a lot of, like, weird shit going on? Like, fictional shit, mystical even. I don't know. I guess we just gotta keep following along. I like this music, though. I was too scared to sleep. If I went to sleep, I might not find Satoshi-kun there in the morning. So I kept talking to him until I passed out. I told him about what happened while he was missing. I told him that I realized how much I loved him after he went away. I'd searched for him, looking into various different things. I'd gather underground information through Kasai, and bargain for police information with Ushi. But I couldn't find any leads. A long time passed, but I kept thinking about him. Etc., etc. I told him all the small details from my daily life, the places I wanted to go with him, the things I wanted to do with him, the food I wanted to share with him, and I told him a lot of things. I was sitting up at first, but I got tired, so I lay down. I got tired of moving my mouth too, so I started talking to him in my mind. It was the happiest night I'd ever had. Well, I guess whatever makes her happy, I guess. Whatever puts her mind at ease. When I woke up, I didn't find Satoshi-kun by my side. I knew it somehow. I was afraid of it. That was why I didn't want to go to sleep. But at least I got to see him for one night. Just when I resigned myself to that, I felt Satoshi-kun's presence again. It wasn't a dream after all, I thanked God. And so I began my strange life with Satoshi-kun. As promised, Satoshi-kun was always by my side. He couldn't laugh, mumble, or stroke my head, but he was always with me. Always right by my side. He disappeared sometimes, but he'd come back when I looked for him. It seemed that all I could hear was his footsteps. That's just the way it was. It was a bit sad, but I was still satisfied. His presence was really faint, so it was hard to sense him in a crowd, but he never left me. If he were tangible, I'd be taking his hand all the time, so that he wouldn't be lost. In contrast, I could feel him very strongly in a quiet environment. Of course, I couldn't tell what his expressions were because he was just a presence. But after I got used to it, I could tell what he was thinking. At first, I could only tell if he was laughing or not. Eventually, I started to feel his emotions more strongly. I could communicate with him normally. I was usually alone with him though. I didn't want to go to school or hang out with my friends anymore. But Satoshi-kun, you gotta remember the honorific, got upset about that. He'd keep mumbling unhappily. Now that I knew he'd always be with me, I shouldn't just stay home all the time. I was sticking to my time alone with him, however, because I was scared that he might suddenly disappear again, and I wanted to make the most of the time I was sharing with him right now. I must have been worrying too excessively. Satoshi-kun will always be by my side. Yeah, that was his promise. He never breaks his promises. I was fine because he was there. Of course, I couldn't tell anybody about him, not even Sis. I could try to explain it to them, but they'd never understand. But I was certain that he was with me, so I'd be alright. I never get fed up with life with him. He's really cute, you know? We always walk together, but when I stop, he always walks one extra step. That's so adorable, I love it. Maybe Shion is losing her mind. Just a little bit.
シオンさんはどうなさいますか？今夜の綿流しのお祭りは。
行って適当に遊ぶつもりです。お姉とその愉快な仲間たちでもからかうかな。
I wanted to go to the festival with Satoshi-kun. I knew he liked to see me having fun with everybody. He might get jealous if I play with Kei-chan, but Satoshi-kun isn't very sensitive in that way. Satoshi-kun loved to see me and my friends have fun. So I should have a lot of fun for his sake. Then I'd talk about the day with him later.
何でHinamizawaに行きますか？車で行くならお送りしますよ。
スクーターで行くからいいや。
それはいけません。帰りに本家に寄られて、親類の宴会に加わられるんでしょ？
Are we?
居眠り運転などさせられません。
He won't let me drive, but he's kind enough to let me drink.
じゃ、
Yes,
お世話になりま
let
すかね。
the underage drink. Perfect.
わかりました。では、夕方に出発しましょう。そのくらいの頃にお迎えに参ります。
Wait, is today the day of the Watanagashi? Are we already there? Holy shit. After Kasai left, I sensed that Satoshi-kun was excited about going to the festival.
綿流しか。サトシくんがいなくなっちゃってから、もうすぐ1年になるんだね。
Satoshi-kun seemed confused.
でしょ？
Kasai still listening in? What the fuck? We laughed together. Is it Watanagashi? Are we already there? Are we? Yep, we are. Holy fuck. Holy shit. We're already at the Watanagashi. This chapter, man, like, it's kind of gone from taking its time with the past, and now that we're at the present, we're still doing all these fucking time skips. Which I guess is fine, like, you know, nothing's really going on. Just Shion being a little weird.
はいよ、網とお椀。
よし、やる。金魚はみんな生きがいいね。実に美味しそう。 この小さいのなんかそのままボリボリと生でいけちゃうよね。
Huh?
ミオンさんは何を言ってるんでございますの？みーちゃん食べてたの？去年レナからもらったのも食べちゃったの？
違う。私そんなこと言ってない。
Sis shook her head hard. She turned all red.
いやでも今ミオンお前自分で言ったぞ。実に美味しそうだって。
確かに言いました。お姉って雑食ですから口に入れば何でも食べちゃうんです。
美味しいなら今度僕も試してみるのです。ダメだよリカちゃん、お腹壊しちゃうよ。
ちょっと待て。おいこら、お前いつの間にいるんだよシオン。
ケイちゃんにお姉にみんなこんばんは。あんたどこから湧いてきたのシオン。焼きそば屋さんの時からずっとです。お姉たちは騒がしいからすぐに見つけられました。
Damn, bro. I could really go for some fucking chow mein right now.
もうあんたは関係
Or
ないで
just
しょ。
fried rice. Just give me some fucking Chinese food or something.
早くどっか行きなさいよ。もうお姉もあまり私を邪険にしないでくださいね。ケイちゃん、私が一緒でもいいですよね。
I took Kei-chan's arm and held it between my breasts. I feel like we've been here before. We were gonna have a ball. What just happened? Are we dead? What's happening? I went around the booth with Sis and her friends. I joked around and laughed out loud. I teased Kei-chan and Sis too. Kei-chan was at the center of the group, and if I did something to him, it naturally involved everybody else. It looked like Satoshi-kun was having a hard time finding his own spot in the crowd. When I glanced at him in a quiet moment, he smiled and told me to have fun without worrying about him. If he were tangible, I'd pull his arm to join the crowd. It made me sad that I couldn't do that. It's like an imaginary friend. I bumped into somebody's shoulder. It was obviously my fault, so I apologized right away. As it turned out, it was somebody I knew. Aha!
楽しんでるみたいね。こんばんは、シオンちゃん。月の綺麗な晩ね。
あれ、すごいお久しぶりですね、高野さん。それから。
そうだね。挨拶をするのはこれが初めてだね。僕は富武。ミオンちゃんの双子の妹さんだって話は聞いてるよ。
Y'all ready to dive this chapter?
よろしくです、富武さん。凄腕のカメラマンとのお噂だとか。ぜひ今度私も映してくださいね。
デビューを夢見て投稿を繰り返す素人だけどね。
そんなことないわよ。二郎さんは上手よ。いろいろとね。
I really don't get her vibe, but I think she kills
いやい
him.
や、まだまだ勉強が足りないよ。才能に恵まれない分を努力で補わないとね。
They must have been in a relationship.
高野さんと富武さん、仲がよろしいようで。私はお邪魔ですかね。
I just realized that they're giving out an F1 model car in the background there.
あらあら。ご検察痛み入るけど、お気遣いは結構よ。それに高野なんて、なんだか他人行儀みたいな呼び方ね。昔みたいに、ミヨって呼んでくれていいのに。
やっぱり目上の人にファーストネーム呼びつけはちょっと気になるものでして。
It's easy to see what Shion's trying to do. She's trying to keep that separation, keep that bit of a gap.
まあ気にしないでください。
I smiled bashfully, and Takano-san smiled back elegantly.
あれから図書館には来ないのね。研究の同志として、もっともっといろいろお話ししたかったのに。
まあ気が向いたらそのうちってことで。
研究の同志ってまさかシオンちゃんも興味があるのかい？この村の昔話とかに。
Tomitake-san raised his eyebrows. As far as I knew, Takano-san's hobby wasn't exactly normal. On the surface, her research dealt with the cultural history of ancient Hinamizawa, but its main focus was the Watanagashi festival from ancient times. a cannibal banquet in which they captured and gutted a living sacrifice. Her research covered various stories surrounding that, and other legends of cruelty. It was nothing if not gory. That was where her main interests lay, so I didn't feel comfortable being called a fellow researcher, to be honest. But objectively speaking, her research notes were fun to read. It was then that I heard the loud booms of the taiko drums. The main event of the Watanagashi festival, the dedication dance, was about to start. According to Takano-san's hypothesis, the part of the dance where the shrine maiden tears open a futon mat represents gutting a living victim.
いよいよ始まりますね。そろそろ私も行くかな。高野さんたちも見に行くんですよね。
Nope, they're gonna go do something else. Tomitake-san looked bewildered. Did that mean he wasn't coming? Takano-san giggled and then whispered in my ear.
実はね、これから最具殿の中に入ってみようと思うの。
This is how Shion found out, isn't it? She made it sound like she was going to do something fun, but it wouldn't be amusing to anyone who knew what the ritual storehouse was. The ritual storehouse, or the storehouse for ritual implements, is sort of a treasure house belonging to the Furude Shrine. I'd heard that Oyashiro-sama's sacred treasures were stored in there. Only people from the Furude family and selected members of the other 2-3 families are allowed to enter. They believe that if other people enter, the place will be desecrated. Everybody in Hinamizawa had been, or must have been, curious about what was in there when they were kids. But the storehouse was always tightly locked. You couldn't just peek into it either. Kids would get chided if they played around it, so they'd learn to stay away. I didn't like being around it myself, since I was familiar with all that. Even though I didn't believe in curses, I still didn't want to be near it. Nothing good can come from breaking the rules. Were they still going to enter the ritual storehouse despite all that? Well, they are outsiders.
確かものすごい厳重な鍵がかかってたと思いましたよ。
去年まではね。前の缶抜きじゃ重すぎて大変だとリカちゃんが言ったらしいの。それで今年からものすごく安っぽい南京錠に変わったの。知ってた？
いえ、知りません。でも安っぽいと言ったって錠前がかかってますよ。
次郎さんね、とても器用なの。
開けられるんですか？
綿流しの儀式が始まれば全員が儀式に集まるでしょ。西宮殿の周りには人影は全くなくなる。今夜が一番の資格なの。東大元暮らしとでも言うのかしらね。
According to her hypothesis, the ancient tools used for human dissection and torture would be found in the ritual storehouse.
よかったら後でこっそりいらっしゃいな。二度とないチャンスよ。じゃあよかったら後でね。
高野さん、何の内緒話だい？
I guess that's why she wasn't so surprised when Keiichi and her actually went over there. And I'm going to assume that that's what's going to happen here. If we're following more closely with Chapter 2, that is. Which seems to be the case.
女同士の内緒話よ。行きましょう。暗くて人気のないところへ相引きに。
ん
Takano-san walked against the flow of the crowd alongside Tomitake-san. The ritual storehouse, huh? It was supposedly filled with torture tools. Considering what they had in the underground torture room at the Sonozaki house, that's quite possible. Satoshi-kun fell victim to the curse in the 4th year. His aunt's death, was the sign of Oyashiro-sama's curse. Satoshi-kun was the sacrifice to pacify Oyashiro-sama's anger. That was what Takano-san said last year. It was just her hypothesis. At present, I wanted to deny her hypothesis because I wanted to believe that Satoshi-kun was still alive. Her hypothesis was correct. Either some religious fanatic or somebody from the 3 families must be imitating the curse, in order to revive the ancient custom of Onegafuchi. That would mean that it was them who killed Satoshi-kun. I believe. So what if?
じゃあよかったら後でね。
I believe. So what if? じゃあよかったら後でね。 I believe. そwhat if? じゃあよかったら後でね。 So what if? What if the ritual storehouse was filled with garbage instead of torture implements? Maybe it was filled with broken palanquins or freshly painted signboards for the festival. What then? It wasn't really hard for me to believe that it was filled with the chemical smell of paint. Maybe I'll get to deny the hypothesis that Satoshi-kun was sacrificed by seeing the inside of the ritual storehouse for myself. Whatever was in there, it didn't mean that Satoshi-kun would come back.
サトシ君、どうしよう。
Since most people went to see Rika-chama's ritual dance, the festival grounds were deadly quiet. Even so, I couldn't sense Satoshi-kun. Did he go somewhere, or was I not paying enough attention? Or maybe he wasn't feeling any emotions in particular. After thinking for a while, I decided to go in with them. It had been almost a year since Satoshi-kun's disappearance. I'd been avoiding the truth because I was afraid he might be dead. But now I had a chance. I had a chance to see the inside of the ritual storehouse. I felt as though something divine had arranged that coincidence, On my way to the storehouse, I noticed Keiichi. He was jumping up and down trying to see Rika-chama's dedication dance over people's shoulder. If I took him along, we could split the guilt. Yeah, that's how it works. Oyashiro-sama might put a curse on me for entering his divine storehouse. I wanted a partner in crime. Since the boy I loved disappeared last year because of the curse, maybe Mion's love should disappear this year.
何考えてんだ私。
Yeah, that's kind of fucked, to be honest. That must have been the demon inside me. I shook the thought out of my head.
どうしたんだよ、シオン。
Okay, we're gonna end it here. I know where this is going, and I'm excited. I want that to be an episode all for itself. Whatever happens, we might just skip a little bit through it because we've been in there, we've been told the stories and all that. But from Shion's perspective, which I know is different, she heard something. I remember that from chapter 2. Oh boy, next episode could be a good one. Thank you all for tuning in for this one. I wanted to share a little thought that I had a little bit ago, but just couldn't throw it in here. Whenever Rena was talking about her experience before she moved back to Hinamizawa, she said that she was hearing the footsteps of Oyashiro and he was appearing in her dreams and like, I don't know, smothering her with curse smells and probably a bunch of other shit that I'm exaggerating. But the point is that she felt all this stuff and she connected it to Oyashiro-sama. Could that kind of be the same thing going on here? It's just delusions that we're piecing together with Satoshi-kun's presence. He's not actually here, but we're tricking the mind to make it seem like he is here in a similar way that Rena, I guess that's her name, Rena, she was tricking her mind as well. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe everybody has a special power, and I've brought this up multiple times in a joking fashion, but I really just don't know. Who's to say? We can only find out if we continue along. Thank you all for watching this episode. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that fancy shit. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.